In this video, I'm going to show you how you can make a cage to cover your potted plants to keep the squirrels from digging into them. You know, I like to grow some carnivorous plants, and when I have peat moss, they see the moisture, and for some reason they like digging into peat moss especially, but they'll also dig into other potted plants. What you need is some chicken wire, PVC pipe, and I'm using a 3-foot by 25-foot piece of chicken wire, but when I measured it, it's 35 inches wide instead of 36 inches, so I'm going to factor that in. You need some metal snips, a tape measure, some zip ties, a pipe cutter, and also some twist tie comes in handy, and you'll see why. So let's begin with this project. What I did was I attached the tape measure, you want it to the end, and I used a twist tie to make sure it doesn't fly off as I measure the other side and cut the wire. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you how I cut the wire once this is tied. I have the other end secured with a twist tie, and I don't like using a marker on these because you see how thin this line is, and I want to be as precise as I can. It probably doesn't really matter that much, but I'm just a perfectionist. And also, I'm not going to be using any pipe adhesive because if it's stuck wrong, then I can't make any adjustments. But if the cut is slightly off, you can always tweak the fittings. So you're going to take the pipe cutter, and there we go, it popped out. And you want to line it up to where it gets right at the edge, and then you can move this over and focus on cutting. Oh, that just ripped right off. But anyway, if it doesn't, you can turn it or keep ratcheting this in. So anyway, you want to make sure you get all the pieces cut, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to have 8 33-inch pieces, and we're going to have 4 6-foot pieces. Now with the 33-inch pieces, I have them connected to some it's like a 45-degree elbow T combination, and when I set this down, as you can see, I have one on each end, but when I set it down, I'm going to show you one side, you want to make sure it's not going to rock, because you want this piece and that piece perfectly flat on the ground to make it from rocking. Here it's like I'm just playing to show you it's rocking, but you want to make sure it's secure, that with a finger it doesn't really rock much. Then it's lined up perfectly. And if you use adhesive and then they're not perfectly lined up, then you're stuck. Once you cut all the pieces, you want to assemble it like so. So you can see I'm walking around, and I just built this huge cage essentially. So now I can go ahead and run the chicken wire lengthwise across, across the top, and then I'll work on the sides. So I need to finish unrolling the chicken wire and spreading it over. You have to cut each one individually until you go down the width. And when I measured it, I was consistent at 35 inches, but once I unrolled it, this does expand a little, so it really is around 36 inches or so. So, it's better to be a little small than to be too big and not have enough width for the chicken wire. So I went ahead and combined the side, I have this on the side, so this would be the top. And I'm using zip ties, and I don't want to do it too tight and be overkill because I'm running low on zip ties. I probably will run out and have to get some more. But you also want to make sure that no squirrel can squeeze in. So you want to make sure that it's not going to be open wide enough for squirrels to squeeze in. If it opens a bit and they can't squeeze in, it will give them something to do as they keep trying. But if you want overkill, you could just add more, which I may do just for the overkill. And as I was tightening these, I was also stretching, trying to pull it. The top is trickier to pull, as you get to the bottom of this roll or to the inside, it's harder to unwind and tricky. So I also did that. This is the bottom side, once I tilt it over. And You know, I don't think a squirrel can squeeze under there, but I may eventually add more zip ties. Now you want the black zip ties. Those are the ones designed for outdoors, and they're less likely to dry rot compared to the other zip ties like the, you know, white plastic ones, etc. Anyway, so I'll have to cut to about here, then run these underneath like I did on this side, you know, where I ran them under just to loop over and keep the tips out of the way, and wherever I was able to, I would try to tie to this for extra, you know, things. So here it's hard for a squirrel to squeeze in, even though I don't have as many zip ties as I do on the top, where, you know, you're at the edge of the chicken wire. So anyway, I'm gonna finish ringing this up and I should be good to go. I just ran out of zip ties, so I'll have to finish this project later after I go to the store and get some more. But as you can see, this is the remainder of the roll, and it's just enough, you know, once this bit is unwound, it's just enough to tie here. So what I'll do is let me stand this up and you'll see the almost finished product. I stood this up, so now you see I have a huge cage, zip tied, except for this area here, which I'll finish once I get some more zip ties. I could use wire or something, but I just want to be consistent with the zip ties, and then I'll have to trim these, and maybe I'll add a few more, because I think a squirrel can fit in here. You know, this can be stretched, but I want to play it safe, and once I get more zip ties, I'll, you know, double the amount. But as you can see, I can just flip this over, access any plants, and cover it, or I can get help and with someone lift it, move it over, and I can grow plants in here on my patio without the squirrels digging in.